One of the most anticipated movies of the year is No Time to Die, guys. This is the next James Bond film. Super exciting. I'm not going to lie, guys, after watching the initial trailers for this, I am extremely excited. I'm a huge James Bond fan, especially Daniel Craig James Bond. He's my favorite James Bond up to this point, and I've seen most of the James Bond movies, and so I'm really excited about this one. Now, I'm going to say this, that Quantum of Solace, Casino Royale. Casino Royale is really probably still my favorite Daniel Craig James Bond movie. It's probably one of, if not my favorite James Bond movie ever, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of some back history as far as my favorite James Bond movies. Now, Skyfall, I think that pretty much all of them have been, entertaining nonetheless. If anything, they've been very entertaining, and I'm excited to see where this franchise goes with No Time to Die. It looks really intriguing, and I think it's going to possibly be the best one yet for a number of reasons. But let's talk about everything that we know so far about the movie. So guys, the biggest things are, this is the 25th installment of the James Bond film series, and this is being filmed by Cary Joji Fukunaga. And this is a movie that's had its release date pushed back to none other than November 25th of 2020 here in the United States. And there's a number of, obviously, the main reason, of course, is because of the pandemic going on in our world right now. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be worth the wait. I really do. The cast here, guys, you got Daniel Craig, Rami Malek, Leah Sado. I mean, guys, this is an incredible cast. I mean, you've got Ben Whishaw, Lashana Lynch, you got Jeffrey Wright, Christoph Waltz. I mean, guys, and the list goes on and on. You have a really stellar cast here. One of, if not maybe the best that they've had in a single James Bond movie, potentially, all going to be on the screen for this movie of a budget of $250 million budget. So they're banking that this is going to be a big James Bond film, to say the least, guys. So originally, this movie was scheduled to release in April, but of course, because of the pandemic, it's moved onwards to November. And in an article, guys, that was written by Tom Nicholson of Esquire, No Time to Die was slated for an April 2 release, but on March 4th, the Bond Twitter feed announced it would instead arrive on November 12th. Of course, the pandemic wasn't specifically mentioned in the tweet, but given that 38% of Spectre's box office takings came from countries currently curbing public events and gatherings, it's not an enormous leap of understanding. No Time to Die is the first major film to change its release schedule because of fears of the pandemic, and may set a pattern which other production and distribution companies will follow, which of course we've already been seeing that, guys. Now, what I will say is that Spectre was another, was of course another one of those, James Bond movies that I wasn't as big of a fan of as, a lot of other people were. I thought Spectre was really good, but I just didn't think it was quite as good as Skyfall or even Quantum of Solace. And of course, Casino Royale was probably my favorite of of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies. But Spectre, coming off of that, my expectations, I'm not going to say are low because they're actually really high, but I'm expecting this to be significantly better than what Spectre was. Okay, so some of the other things that we know so far about the film, guys. It's the longest Bond film ever, which of course kind of leads you with some question marks, but at 163 minutes, exactly 2 hours and 43 minutes in old money, No Time to Die will be 15 minutes longer than Spectre, the previous holder of the record, according to the American film chain Regal. We had been led to believe that it could touch almost 3 hours when a Russian cinema chain suggested that much back in January, but since then, the Dutch Path chain has also suggested it'll be 2 hours and 43 minutes on its booking portal. So 2 hours and 43 minutes it is. Craig's tenure as Bond has been one of records. Not only have we now seen the two longest Bond films in that time, but Craig has become the longest serving Bond of them all. He passed Sir Roger Moore's mark of 4,527 days in the role on April 11th, 2019. That's really impressive. And I want to see Daniel Craig continue being Bond. Hard to say if this is going to be his very last one. I know there was talks of Idris Elba becoming the next 007, which I think would be really interesting. I think that would be great. But I think that Daniel Craig's tenure as James Bond, it might be coming to an end, but maybe he's got a couple more films left in him. Kiri Fukunaga says it's Bond's most difficult mission ever. In a new teaser video, the No Time to Die director got on the hype train, promising that Craig's final spin as 007 will be his most challenging and difficult posting yet. He also mentioned that Bond has been retired for a full 5 years by the beginning of No Time to Die. So look, people have said that this will be Craig's last, last time that he plays as 007. But here's the thing, is that he was saying that it was the last time he was going to play 007, I think it was like 2 movies ago, and he still has continued playing as Bond. So I'm not going to say that this is not going to be his last movie. I just hope they may have a couple more left in the tank. But nonetheless, I'm really excited to see this take on a Bond that's been retired for 5 years. It was essential to rediscover Bond. Where is he? He says, after 5 years of retirement, who has he become? He's sort of a wounded animal struggling with his role as a 00. The world's changed. The rules of engagement aren't what they used to be. The rules of espionage are darker in this era of asymmetric warfare. Now, Billie Eilish's theme song has landed, so Billie Eilish is going to be the one who does the No Time to Die theme song, which I'm really interested to see that, guys. That's going to be a very, obviously, it's going to be interesting to see what she can do versus other very popular artists when it came to the Bond universe, to say the least. But so what is actually going to happen to within this movie? Everyone in the Bond franchise presumably lives in fear of accidentally letting something slip in an interview or while chatting to a mate and then being spirited away for an unceremonious sea burial somewhere in Scapa Flow. However, Ben Whishaw, who plays Q, has a broken cover to give us a bit of a pointer. It's Daniel's last film as James Bond, so I think what they can look forward to is a kind of summing up, I guess, of all of the previous Bond films that Daniel's done. Whishaw told Collider during a chat at Sundance Film Festival. There are strands from all of the films in it, kind of reaching a conclusion. It was great, he said, and what was amazing is that he treated it or was able to approach it. It felt to me almost as if it were an independent film. Sometimes quite chaotic, but I'm very excited to see how he's constructed the final film. Of course, there's been a trailer that's come out, guys, and that trailer was absolutely amazing. I'm super excited to see what this movie looks like. Didn't really give out too much information, I didn't think, which a lot of Hollywood movies do these days. I'm very glad that they've given us, they've given us kind of a slight premise, but really showing us that this is going to be very action-packed, it looks like. Obviously, Daniel Craig is back for a 5th film as Bond, and regulars from his tenure will be returning too. We'll see Naomi Harris as Eve Moneypenny, Ralph Fiennes as M, Ben Whishaw as Q, and Jeffrey Wright as CIA agent Felix Leiter, as well as Leah Sado. New characters include Lashana Lynch's Nomi, a fellow MI6 agent who will take the 007 codename while Bond is off duty. Most importantly, there's Rami Malek as Safin, a supervillain who Barbara Broccoli described as a nasty piece of work who gets under Bond's skin. And then as far as the writers go, guys, longtime Bond writers Neil Purvis and Robert Wade worked on a script before Danny Boyle was attached to direct, but then Boyle brought in his regular collaborator John Hodge, who did Shallow Grave, Train Spotting, and The Beach. But Boyle walked in August 2018, citing creative differences. That meant Purvis and Wade's script was revived and reworked, first by its original writers, then by Casino Royale writer Paul Haggis. Finally, it was given a polish and extra laughs by Fleabag creator Phoebe Waller-Bridge at Daniel Craig's request. Now, who's actually directing it. Having helmed Skyfall and Spectre, which I loved Skyfall, didn't like Spectre, Sam Mendes was in the early mix but quickly ruled himself out. Christopher Nolan's name was discussed, but he demurred as well. Next, Denis Villeneuve passed due to commitments with Dune. Danny Boyle signed on in February 2018, only to leave 6 months later, at which point enter Cary Fukunaga, who previously directed the good series of True Detective and Netflix Beasts of No Nation. So I'm okay with Cary Fukunaga. I think it's gonna be great. I really do. Now look, is it gonna be as great as like if it was Christopher Nolan or Denis Villeneuve? I just like seeing people, directors that haven't done like massive movies like Christopher Nolan and of course Sam Mendes, who's already kind of had his hands in the 007 universe. I kind of like to see someone else get a shot at it and really see what kind of like creative what kind of story they're able to tell. Because I'll tell you this, guys, Netflix's Beasts of No Nation was really good in my opinion. I didn't think I was going to like it that much, but man, it was a really great story. And so I'm really excited to see what Cary does, of course, with the 007, this last tenure, according to many, of Daniel Craig. Now, as far as other things, guys, we know that there is, of course, a lot of question marks around this story and around like the music, which a lot of people love, hearing about the music. There's questions about what's the setup here. We know that at the start of No Time to Die, Bond is kicking back in Jamaica after the exertions of Spectre and isn't on active service. However, Felix Leiter pops up to say hello and ask if Bond wouldn't mind helping him find a scientist who's wandered off. It soon turns out the scientist has been abducted, and Bond gets onto the trail of a mysterious villain armed with dangerous new technology, according to Universal's synopsis. Plus, it sounds like we'll be digging into Madeline Swan's mysterious personal history too. So that's very interesting. Still very mysterious though. Is it definitely Daniel Craig's last Bond film? And all I will say about this, guys, is that they're saying that it is, okay, but there is a very good chance that he will do another one at some point. Now, that's the presumption that everyone's going in with, and it certainly feels like the cycle might be coming to an end, given that we'll be returning to the arc, which started with his first film, Casino Royale. Given the heartwarming and slightly inabbreviated speech he gave at the wrap party, it seems that he knows he's come to the end of his shift as Bond. He's now inhabited Bond suits longer than any other actor, so it would be a major surprise if he decided to return. But as a 52-year-old Sean Connery in a wig once said, never say never again. And with that, guys, the other thing, of course, we know that this is a movie that's coming out later this year. Maybe it'll get pushed back again. It's hard to say. I hope it doesn't, but it very well might, just because of the pandemic going on. Give these guys time to obviously make a great story. I'm sure that it was basically fully done. They just aren't going to release it when, of course, there's a pandemic going on and people can't go to the movies. So they're going to give it some time and wait so that they can continue marketing and promoting, because I think this could be a really special James Bond movie. But that's everything that we know so far, guys. I will certainly keep you all up to speed as more information comes out for No Time to Die. And let me know, guys, in the comment section below, what are you guys the most excited about with this James Bond film? Do you think it's going to be the best James Bond film ever made, or do you think it's just going to really kind of seal the legacy of Daniel Craig as James Bond? And do you think it's the last James Bond tenure for Daniel Craig? Let me know what you guys think. And for more No Time to Die content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.